everybody, it's Kelsee Briana J, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a review and a look using the new Charlotte Tilbury Pillowtalk Instant Eye Palette. This palette is limited edition, and this is in addition to her Pillowtalk line, which you guys know that Charlotte Tilbury has come out with so many different products under the name Pillowtalk. We have lipsticks, we have lip liners, blushes. She's come out with a quad that's called the Pillowtalk Quad, and now she's come out with a full-sized palette. So this palette retails for $75, and it has 7 grams of product, or 0.24 ounces of products. And this is what the actual palette looks like. So it has a retro vibe to it, as do most of Charlotte Tilbury's products. So I like the packaging. I think it's very beautiful and it stands out. The palette is pretty lightweight, but not so lightweight where I feel like my eyeshadows aren't secure, but it's not super heavy either. On the inside here, we have a mirror, and I'm going to place the box over it so I don't blind you. But here's what the inside of the palette looks like. So there are 12 different eyeshadows, and they are divided up by different names. So from left to right, the eyeshadows are divided up into trios. The first trio is the Day Trio. The next trio is the Desk Trio. And lastly, we have the Dream Trio. And the first eyeshadow in every trio is the Prime eyeshadow. The second eyeshadow in every trio is the Enhance eyeshadow. And the third eyeshadow in every trio is the Smoke eyeshadow. So you can create different looks throughout the trios, and they label it to make it a little bit easier so you don't have to do any guesswork. But if you're like me, you're just going to work across the palette and do your own thing. So I'm going to read you guys the description for this palette really quickly. And it says, from the shimmering rose gold, peachy caramel, and dreamy champagne pink eyeshadow shades of the day and dusk looks to the soft tawny brown, shimmery rose pink, and blushed berry rose of the day and dream looks, create a Pillowtalk gaze that takes you anywhere. Also, these eyeshadows have a formulation that includes diamond powder that infuses a jewel-like light and clarity to your eyes, creating a luminous, natural-looking glow. And they have magical matte shadows that contain coated pigments with silicones for a silky, luxurious touch, and emollient oils for optimized spreadability. Those are all of the things. This palette is super dreamy. Like I said, this is limited edition, but I will have everywhere where you can purchase this palette down in my description box. If you shop through my links, they are affiliate links, and I do get paid a small percentage, which helps to support me and my channel. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the swatches. I'm going to swatch everything from left to right as per usual, and then I did do comparisons of this palette, but I'm going to save that for the end of the video. I hope that you all enjoy, and I'll talk to you all shortly. So first, I'm going to take a blending brush with the Smoke color from the Desk Trio, and then I'm going to use this shade as my transition color. And I have a little bit of the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer on my eyelids set, but I just want to go on top of that with this color back and forth, and I'm taking it in my crease, but then I am blending it up past my crease to give me a nice transition and start off my eye look. So next, going into the Date Trio, I'm going to go into the middle color, the Enhance color, with the same brush, and it's just a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do is move down just a little bit and apply this color again in the crease, and this is going to help me set up a little bit more definition on the eye. So I'm going back and forth, and as you guys see, I'm dipping back into that color just to re-intensify, but I am not taking this color all the way up like I did the first one, because if you do the same exact motions, you're going to cover up the initial color, and that's not what we want to do. But let's just go back and forth with this color. Just a little bit is needed, but this is the effect that I'm going for. Same trio, the Date Trio. I'm going to take the Smoke color with the same brush. These are very, very pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way. But I am going to take this color and gently tap it on the outer corner and build up this color. And then I'm going to lightly take whatever is left and then begin to sweep it into the crease, not too much. And then I'm just going to tap over this color just to make sure that everything is completely opaque. flat shader brush, and I'm going to go into the Day Trio, and I'm going to take the prime color just a little bit because I want to take this color right underneath my brow as a brow highlight, and this is very pigmented. Really trace this color right underneath my brows, and then once I'm done doing that, then I'm going to lightly drag this color down and bring it to where the top of that transition color is, and this is going to be my underbrow highlight. So I'm going to take the same color with the same brush and then pop that on the inner tear ducts. So next I'm taking the second color in the Day Trio, the enhanced color, with the same brush. And I'm going to tap this color right next to the inner tear ducts color, gradually building it up, and I'm going to take it onto the lid. I'm not going to take it all the way across. I am going to put another color there, but I just want to build this color up and make sure that it is blended with both the inner tear ducts color as well as the crease. So take your time with this and then just make sure that this color is completely opaque and there's no patchiness there, but it's very smooth and pretty. Same brush, and I'm taking the second color from the Dream Trio. In this empty space that I have here, this is where I'm going to build this color. So I'm just going to blend it next to all of the colors that I have on my lid. So next to this color, next to the outer corner color, and up to the crease. But I am not covering up any of these colors. I'm just going right on the edge of where these colors start and begin and fit this color in there. And then I'm going to take my time and build this color up just to make sure that it is completely opaque. That looks really pretty. So now I'm going to add liner and lashes, and I'll be back and we can do the lower lash line together. So I have my lashes on. Now let's do the lower lash line. So I'm going in with one of my favorite detailer brushes, the Wayne Goss 07 brush. So with this brush, I'm going to take this first color from the Day Trio, and I want to re-intensify the top and then drag it around and add it to the lower inner corner. And with the same brush, I'm going to take the last color in the palette, the color from the Dream Trio, and take that along the rest of the lower lash line. So I'm going to take my time and build up this color and smoke it out, and to make sure to connect it to the top. And then I'm going to add some mascara to my lower lashes, and then I'll be done. Alright guys, so here's my finished look, and I will have all of my makeup details down in the description box. But I love the way that my look turned out, and I'm very pleasantly surprised because if you guys watch my channel at all, then you'll know that I am not a big fan of rosy, mauve, pink tones. But I really like the color story of this palette because I feel like these colors lean more neutral, and the tones in this palette do not look ruddy on my complexion, which is how I feel most mauve rosy colors look on me. I think these colors are the right amount of vibrant, and I think the neutrals have a nice peachy golden-esque feel to them, so I think that it's very complimentary to my complexion. I really like this. I think that this palette is formulated very well. Every color in here was super smooth. It gave me a beautiful amount of pigmentation. These eyeshadows are not super powdery, and I like the way that the colors build up. So the intensity is there, but you can also make it a little bit softer depending on how much you apply. So I really like this palette. This is my favorite eyeshadow palette that I have ever tried from Charlotte Tilbury, and I think that it'll look beautiful on a variety of complexions. So even though this palette is lighter in tone, which I know may raise concerns for people who have a deeper complexion, who are wanting to have a palette like this, I would honestly go into this palette with the mindset of knowing that most of these colors are not going to be able to work in your crease because they are lighter, but the majority of this palette can be used as lid shades. So you have to decide if it's important to you to only be able to use one palette to do your entire eye look, because if you have that mindset, you are going to be more limited in the amount of palettes that you can use. Most palettes are not going to work from point A to point Z for everybody's eye look, and I'm okay with that. The only time that I really only use one eyeshadow palette is when I'm filming. Since I film a lot, I use one eyeshadow palette a lot, but personally, I don't mind reaching outside of a palette to get another color if I feel like it is going to benefit the look. And if you have a deeper complexion and you want to use this palette, go in knowing that you are going to have to reach outside of this palette to pull in colors to give you a little bit more richness. But like I said, I think this palette is very beautiful, and it is one of my favorite rosy palettes that I have ever tried. So with that being said, I do have quite a few rosy mauve toned palettes in my collection that I pulled to show you guys in comparison to this palette. The newest one that I've acquired is the Fenty Beauty Snap eyeshadow palette in the color number 4, and I just wanted to show you guys these two in comparison just in case you were curious on whether or not it's similar. And in my opinion, it's not. Obviously the Snap eyeshadow palettes are miniature, so it doesn't have everything you need to complete an entire eye look for me, but I think this palette is really pretty, but it's a lot more vibrant than the Charlotte Tilbury one. The Charlotte Tilbury palette is teetering on a neutral palette that has pops of rose in it versus the number 4 palette, which is pretty much a pop of rose color palette. So next I pulled one of my favorite palettes of all time, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette, to compare to the Pillow Talk palette. And I feel like these palettes do have some similarities there, but I do think the Anastasia palette is a little bit more bold because the colors in here are just a little bit more in your face, the shimmers especially, and it has darker colors in here. It even has a black, so you can get a much more intense eye look with the Soft Glam palette as opposed to the Pillow Talk palette, which is a lot more soft. But there are similarities in the color story because they both have like a peachy rosy element to it. But like I said, I do feel like the Anastasia palette is just a little bit more vibrant, and there are more shimmers in this palette as opposed to the Pillow Talk palette. Next I pulled the Huda Beauty New Nude palette to compare to the Pillow Talk palette, and I think that these palettes have a similar vibe, but the New Nude palette is a lot more mauve and a lot more cool toned than the Pillow Talk palette. So the New Nude palette pulls super pink on me, and I really can't get a neutralness to it on my complexion, so everything looks very rosy, very mauve-ish, and there's even some purple shades in here, which the color story in the Pillow Talk palette is a little bit more peachy. So I think these will be in the same family, but they're not super related, so I would say they're distant cousins. I have the Anastasia Carly Bybel palette, and I think that these palettes have a lot of similarities, but again, I think that Anastasia's palette is a lot more vibrant than Charlotte's palette, and I think that's going to speak to their customer base, because I think that people who gravitate towards Charlotte's makeup are a little bit more of a mature clientele, somebody that wants a little bit of a softer look, and then Anastasia's clientele is a little bit more of a younger demographic who likes a little bit more of a Instagram baddie type look, but if they want to make it soft, they can. So again, I would say that these are in the same family, but if you have this palette, I wouldn't say that you're safe to not get this palette because they differ enough to justify having both. And lastly, I pulled the Pat McGrath Divine Rose palette to compare to the Pillow Talk palette, and I feel like these palettes have a bit of a similarity there, but the Pat McGrath palette is a lot more dusky on me, and the colors are a lot more muted in tone. In the Pat McGrath palette, there's not anything that's peachy that's going to brighten up my complexion. I think that aside from the last 4 special Dazzler shades, this palette is a lot more dull in comparison to the Charlotte Tilbury palette, but this palette is a little bit deeper and the colors go on with more intensity than the Charlotte Tilbury palette, which is very light in its application and more whimsical. So as you all can see, this palette is a lot more unique than you think it is going to be, but this one is just giving a different element, and like I said, I really like this one a lot on my complexion, so I recommend it. I really like this palette. I can see myself reaching for it a lot, and this might even end up in my travel bag because I am going on a trip soon, so this may have to come with me because I can see myself using this every single day because the colors in this palette make me feel pretty, which I think that a lot of us forget is the entire point of putting on makeup and things to enhance your looks, is because you want to look like a better version of yourself. And so I think these colors look really pretty, very natural, and very soft and romantic, so I'm feeling it. Let me know if you all plan on picking up this palette down in the comment section. I look forward to reading what you guys have to say, and I will check you all in my very next video, which will be super soon. Smooches. Bye.